Alright, well let's see what people thought of my last review.
Can you oil up?
Ah, you were hot 10 years ago? Damn it, some stranger used to think I was hot. Well, everybody thought I was hot in the Buffalo 66 review, and all I had to do was slick back my hair. I'm gonna do a little bit of that now. Out of the blue! I'm melting! It's very hot in here. Out of the Blue is a 1980 dramatic film directed by Dennis Hopper and co-starring Hopper, and Linda Manns plays his daughter in the movie. Linda Manns you might know from Days of Heaven. She's also in Gummo. She's that mother character in the basement. The movie starts with a deeply traumatic experience with Hopper and Manns that lands Hopper in prison, and then the start of the movie is we're kind of watching the lead up to Hopper finally being released from prison and Mann's family structure, which is already very shaky, just becoming more and more harrowing and bleak as the movie goes on. You know, Sharon Farrell plays the mother. She's addicted to heroin. And then you got John Saxon playing Dennis Hopper's buddy, only it's not John Saxon. I realized 2/3 of the way through the movie it's actually played by Don Gordon. I get my sleazy 70s guys mixed up all the time, what could I say? So I'm just going to say this right off the bat. I think this movie was sensational. You ever just start watching a movie, you get maybe 10, 15 minutes into it and you think, almost no matter what happens beyond this point, I can't wait to watch this thing again. Well, hold on to your hats because that's how I felt about this movie. I think the acting was superb. There's so much humanity and emotion. There's a real creeping sense of dread that just heightens as the movie goes on. It's a really tough watch, but it's really worth it. This movie has two things that modern movies are generally lacking. The first being that it's just barely over 90 minutes, so it's a brisk watch. And number two, there's no chance for a sequel or prequel. When this thing ends, it fucking ends. And this movie's even got the song Hey Hey My by Neil Young, which, to be honest, I've never been a big fan of, but I think it's used to really great effect in this movie, and that's actually where the title comes from. Out of the Blue is a lyric from that song. It makes me wonder, has Neil Young ever made a movie? And if he did, would Dennis Hopper play a role in this hypothetical movie? And if he did, in this hypothetical movie, would Neil Young do this weird mugging the whole time where he's acting like Lenny from Of Mice and Men and talking like this? And Out of the Blue is very short on plot, but that's kind of out of necessity because this movie actually wasn't originally supposed to happen. It was a totally different movie. Dennis Hopper was an actor in this previous incarnation of the movie. That movie started floundering. The production was starting to wrap up. It wasn't working out, and he stepped in and said, look, I'm going to start making a new movie here. He wrote a new story over a weekend and became director, and then it turned into Out of the Blue. Now that's being resourceful. It also just goes to show that you can have a bare-bones story and still be deeply poetic, deeply emotional, and still be entertained. It also lends credence to the theory that having restrictions such as budget and time frame can lead to creativity, but it requires a strong sense of confidence and instinct. Conversely, an endless budget and no time constraint can often cause a project to linger, deflate, lose focus, or simply implode. And this is a great example of a movie that's effortless. I say effortless in the vein of, say, a Cassavetes movie. Not in the sense of someone sitting in the comfort of their home and droning on and on about things that they know nothing about. It's also a kind of sorta punk movie. Not just because the main character is always like talking about punk and her idols are like the Sex Pistols and stuff, and there's actually a scene featuring the Canadian punk band The Pointed Sticks.
Pointed Stick.
Hopper's legacy, I feel like at this point, is he's more known for playing people yelling about Pabst Blue Ribbon and putting gas masks on his face and walking around with a sex doll and whatnot. He was a captivating actor, a very talented director, and I think it's BS that he didn't get a fair shake and make more movies, especially in his prime. As a kind of interesting side note, this movie was in essence rescued and then restored in a new 4K restoration and almost from the ground up hand done by Natasha Lyonne and Chloe Sevigny. Chloe Sevigny, that's another Gummo connection there. Ladies, Could you stop being iconic for just one moment? And that's it, really. I absolutely loved this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I would totally recommend it, especially if you're having trouble finding something as a reason to commit self-harm. And okay, last thing, all right? Has anyone else been bothered by the fact that in the movie A Bug's Life, the main villain is called Hopper, but that was not voiced by Dennis Hopper? I think about that like at least once a month ever since that movie came out. And I used to watch that all the time on VHS. But I'm sure, I mean, it's such a talented voice cast in that movie. They must have... Oh, God. Stay away from that man. I mean, stay sexy.